I've been personally in an elevator with people who were fighting. I've personally been in an elevator with people who were fighting, and that's an uncomfortable experience. It's closed quarters. If you're not good with hand-to-hand, close-quarter combat, that is not where you want to get into an altercation. And along with that, the elevator starts to shake. It's very uncomfortable. No one wants to be in that. It's a little unnerving. So to fight someone in an elevator, you must have a really good reason or just be a little foolish. I'm not sure which one it is. Maybe both. It all depends. Look at your neighbor and say, have you ever fought in the elevator? I promise you the answer is yes. Watching these people get in this fight while they travel from one level to another got me thinking. Youth, young adults, if we are going to live the life that we are supposed to live, then at some point we all have to fight in the elevator. Youth, adults, we are always moving from one place in life to another place in life. Life takes you for a ride. We have low moments where school is bad and people left you or someone died. Relationships are bad and friends are now enemies and stress is killing you. You don't even want to wake up and get out of bed in the morning. And we have high moments where money may be flowing and old relationships seem to get better. There might be a new relationship, somebody that you can call your boo, somebody who's your bae. Kids are good. Everybody's graduating, no drama at the moment, enjoying life with friends. And sometimes we are just stopped and not going anywhere. And then sometimes we are stopped waiting and watching other people get to their floor and get to their destinations and where they want to go. We are always being taken for a ride. Young people, as you ride the elevator of life, there will be opportunities to succeed financially, socially, in popularity, in sports, in leadership, in relationships, and in faith. There will also be some really low moments. And sometimes that ride is over at a low point and you got to get off and wait for another one. One opportunity may have left you off high and one opportunity may let you off low, but no matter what level you're on, make sure that you be bold in what you believe, because there may be a time that you have to fight on the elevator. I know what you're thinking, 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 I know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking. Hough, what are you talking about? You just read a text about the 3 Hebrew boys. I know, an explanation is necessary. Hop in and go on this ride with me. I promise you it'll make sense when it's done. The scripture that we read, the text message we read of Daniel chapter 3 is fairly simple. King Nebuchadnezzar, who was king of the Babylonians, went and pretty much took over Judah, where all the Hebrews were. And he asked that all nobility and royalty, he wanted just a few young royal men from the tribes of Judah to come over so he could educate them himself. And he brought him in and he was educating them the way that Babylonians would be educated. And he tried to feed them in the way that the Babylonians would have been fed. And ultimately, as time passed, the king came up with this enormous statue. It was about 99 feet by 9 feet, something insane like that. And he wanted everybody to bow down to it when the trumpets played, and everyone bowed down. Now, the problem is, there were actually 4 men that he took, Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, but just these 3, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who he loved so much or liked so much, he even gave the ability to be governors over different areas of Babylon, did not bow down when the music played. Now, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego didn't say anything. They didn't go and tell anybody, I'm not going to worship your God. That's just not what they were going to do. So they didn't do it. Well, like most haters do, the Chaldeans came to the king and told him, hey, them boys that you put over that land are not following your orders. The king calls them in and he asks them, are you not doing what I asked you to do? And ultimately, they really didn't want to answer him. They kind of just stood in their own defiance. But he asked them again and they pretty much said, hey, listen, go on, do what you want to do. My God can deliver me from your hands. But even if he doesn't, I'm still not going to bow down to this statue. And the king gets so infuriated that he tells him to turn the furnace up, because fire isn't hot enough by itself. So he tells them, turn the furnace higher, and he ties their hands and he binds them so that they can't move, because obviously, you know, being tied up helps you burn faster. And he gets the guards to throw them in the furnace, and the fire is so hot that the fire burns the guards that are trying to throw them into the furnace. And then they fall down, bound and tied, and I guess the door is closed, if there's a door. There may not have been at this time. And the king, looking in the fire, jumps up, trying to figure out what's going on. And he goes, wait, hey, didn't I throw 3 men in the fire? And they go, true, king, you threw 3 men in the fire. He says, well, there's a problem because I see 4 walking around in this furnace, and the 4th one looks like the Son of God. Now listen, let me be clear. A lot of people kind of take this the wrong way. Son of God in this context is not necessarily stating Jesus. Son of God is an angelic figure. So it was a holy divine figure walking around with these boys in the fire. The king pulls them out and pretty much completely changes his mind and goes, hey, my fault. If you got a God that can save you while walking around in the furnace, we got to respect that. So he puts out a decree that you can't say anything bad about these boys' God because that God's bad, pretty much. And that's what he comes down to. That's the entire story. I got 3 things I want to talk about, and then I'll be out your way. I don't plan to be here long. Just follow me. These boys were in the elevator of life. They were having successes and failures. They lost opportunities and they gained opportunities. They had downs and ups. They were in captivity, yet being treated fairly well. They were given high positions, but then it looked like they were going to be killed. Now, if something like this would have happened today, these 3 Hebrew boys would have had book deals and reality TV offers and would be doing interviews at every TV and radio station across the country. Everyone would want to know how they did it. I can imagine them doing 3 or 4 radio station interviews a day. You can turn on your radio and just hear it come in after the song plays off. Heaven 91.7. Welcome back to Heaven 91.7. Heaven 91.7. Heaven 91.7. Heaven 91.7, where Jesus lives, right? And you're sitting there and you hear music in the background and they're playing Nelly Hot in Here or Hot Pants by James Brown or Hot Boys from Cash Money or Fire by Ohio Players and they're sitting there and the guy goes, welcome back to heaven, and we're sitting here with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Hello, yeah, thanks for having us. We're so glad that you had us in this place. Like, yeah, whatever. These guys were the ones who were caught fighting in the elevator of life. They were thrown into a furnace. Boys, Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, you got to tell us how this story went down. Now listen, listeners, if you don't know about it, you need to know about it. Watch your TV, go on the internet, and you will find out that these boys walk in and out of a fire. That's amazing. So tell us what happened. How is it that you were able to be bold enough to stand up to the king when he told you you were going to die? And then you can hear one of the 3 Hebrew boys simply say, hey, listen, well, this is the first thing you gotta know. First thing you gotta know is that our names are not Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And then I could tell him that he's gonna take a break so they could pay the bills and they go to words from their sponsor. Point 1, in fighting on the elevator, know where you got on. Know where you got on. Jay-Z, Beyonce, and Solange got on the elevator on the floor of the Met Gala. You had to be somebody famous or know somebody famous or act like you knew someone famous to be at this event. Getting on, leaving the Met Gala means that socially you are considered to be somebody. See, it didn't matter that the 3 Hebrew boys were given new names and positions. It didn't matter that they were being educated in the Babylonian ways. It didn't even matter that they had achieved some status and rank over the provinces. These boys never forgot where they got on. Their names, we always say stuff like Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah is more like Hananiah and Mishael and Azariah, just make sure you hear it correctly. Those were their names. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were the names given to them when they got to Babylon because they wanted to give them Babylonian names because y'all not like us and we want y'all to sound like us. First things first is to know these boys were not Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They always remembered who they were and where they came from. They were Hebrew and not Babylonian, and no one was going to make them forget that or forget their God. Young people, young adults, adult seniors, I don't care where your elevator takes you. I don't care if you were poor and now you're rich. I don't care if you were rich and now you're poor. I don't care if you have all the friends and popularity and status. I don't care if the world has renamed you something great or horrible. Know where you got on. Know who you are. The key to being bold and getting through fighting in the elevator is first know where you got on, because no one can change where you got on. And I know what you're thinking, Hough, MH, Rev, Horace, how does that help me be bold? Simple. The three Hebrew boys didn't become important and high-ranking when they were taken over by Babylon. They were nobility and high-ranking before they were taken over to Babylon. That's the only reason the Babylonians wanted them in the first place, because they were already royal. Look at chapter 1 of Daniel, and you can read up on that. The Babylonians only wanted these boys because they were nobles. They were already royalty. I know. You're still asking, Hough, what's your point? Here's the thing. If you already know where you got on, you already know that you are already royalty, then it doesn't matter what the world calls you. You can be bold in who you are. If I take a crown away from a king, it doesn't stop the fact that he's still a king. If I take the crown away from a queen or a prince and princess, it doesn't change the fact that they are still royalty. You can be bold in who you are because you know no matter what the world has said about you, no matter what your community may be or the stuff that you went through or how bad it got or how good it's going to get, you will always be a child of the King. I know that the singer Lord with the E, Ella O'Connor, sings that we will never be royals, but God has already called us more than conquerors. God already called you his children and a friend. He already told you that your body is a temple. We are already joint heirs in the kingdom. We are recipients of the kingdom. Don't get gassed up or put down believing everything that the world names you. It doesn't really matter if they call you great or less. It doesn't really matter if they call you a disappointment or if they're proud of you. When it comes down to it, on this elevator ride of life, you are already named and you are already great. You do not need validation from the world. You want to be bold? You want to get through these fights on this elevator? Know where you got on. You got on God's floor. Number one, know where you got on. They come back from commercial and I can hear the host asking the next question. All right. So you already had names. You were able to be bold because you didn't give in to this next identity, but what else? And I can hear one of the three Hebrew boys saying, well, here's the other thing. We didn't owe them anything. And I can hear them going back to another break. And a word from the second sponsor. Point 2, know when to get off. When fighting on the elevator, number 1 is know where you got on. Number 2 is know when to get off. I know an explanation.